I think I just laid an egg in the shower. Jurassic Park 3 is one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, sure, Twilight's probably worse, but subjecting myself to watching that garbage is like sticking a fork in your eye. The pain never goes away, and it changes you forever. You're scarred and tormented for life. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, Jurassic Park. A third installment to a series that was written at first as two books. Seems like the most obvious cash grab in the history of the galaxy. Except for Star Wars, but I ain't never seen them prequels. Like I was saying, this movie has no purpose to be made except for some guy named Joe Johnston to cash in on the greatest franchise about dinosaurs ever made. It still baffles and bewilders me that this dumb movie made it to the big screen. The reason it was made is so baffling, it makes my birth record saying my gender is inconclusive look normal for once. So let's start there. Mistake number one, the conception of the trash. So, before the creation of the Lost World Jurassic Park, the sequel to the original movie, Johnston had approached Spielberg about directing the sequel. Spielberg said that he wanted to direct the sequel, but that if a third installment was ever made, Johnston could step in and direct. Thanks for screwing up the franchise, Steve. To be fair, though, Steve didn't know that Johnston would do such a terrible job at making another installment into the Jurassic Park world. In fact, Johnston's first claim about the film was that it would involve flying reptiles and would be more standalone than the first two. This sounded promising. A fresh young director who didn't want to screw up the continuity of the first films. So the sequel was greenlit in August of 1999. Some guy named Craig Rosenberg wrote a script that involved teenagers getting marooned on Isla Sorna. At least that script wasn't used. Then we'd have young, inexperienced actors running around on an island saying, OMG, a dinosaur, gotta text this selfie to my friends. Wait, Apple hadn't taken over the technology industry then. Oh. So then some new guys were brought in to write a story about pterodons escaping Site B and causing a string of murders on the mainland, which were to be investigated by Alan Grant. Oh yeah, and some teenage kid named Miles. Grant and the gang crash land on the island, while a parallel story takes place on the mainland. This could have been pretty cool. The herbivores would still get some screen time, and the carnivores would chase the group as usual, you know? Plus, the investigations on the mainland would be like, I don't know, CSI or something. Yeah, CSI, JP. Coming to a theater near you. Now, this would have been something people may have enjoyed. It would draw in new audiences with its murder mystery thing, like a monster whodunit. I know I would have liked it. But if I'd liked this film, I wouldn't be here now, would I? 5 weeks before filming began for this script, Johnston scrapped the project and decided to go with the rescue mission storyline as suggested by David Coep. Well, thanks a lot, you franchise killer. And that's really all you need to know about the pre-production of the film. To me, it sounds like it's something I like to call dysfunctional development. What's that, you ask? It's when the director can't make up his mind about the script. Mistake number two. The first 15 minutes, or less, or something. So the film opens with the Jurassic Park title written on a black screen in Jurassic Park font. Then we see three claws rip through the title. I think it's symbolizing how this movie killed the franchise. With the number three, cause there were only two books. So there are these two people, a father and son, and they're hang gliding next to Site B. Already we have a problem. Later on in the film, it's revealed that the government made it illegal to go into close proximity of the island. It's also revealed that this was made clear to the public that they need to stay away from the island. But now, we see this father and son parachute gliding or something like 50 feet away from the island. And they got buddies in the boat too. So either these guys don't care about law, don't know that this is the island, or got real drunk, so they just went onto the island to parachute glide. So while they're gliding, the dad is holding his son and he has a parachute on that he uses when the boat crashes. Why does the boat crash, you may ask? Well, you see, some fog rolls over onto the boat, and before you know it, the crew is gone, except for the son and dad. Now, according to Wikipedia, the crew got attacked by a pterosaur. So, if that's the case, then how didn't the father or the son notice the pterosaur fly in and scoop up the crew? And also, wasn't it revealed later in the movie that all of the pterosaurs are locked up in some sort of bird cage? And that they don't get free until near the end of the movie? So this being a pterosaur doesn't make any sense. Even if the directors or someone else of importance in the making of the film confirmed this, it still wouldn't make any sense. In fact, no possibilities make any sense. Let's review, shall we? 1. T-Rex. Its arms are way too small for it to be able to swim that far out away from the island. Debunked. 2. Spinosaurus. They make this thing huge and powerful in this movie. That thing would have ripped the entire boat into scrap metal. It manages to break through the fence later on in the movie. But then again, its strength does have inconsistencies I'll get into later. Debunked. 3. Raptors. Why would raptors decide to swim 20 miles offshore just to raid a boat? Wouldn't it be better if one of the drunk guys crashed the boat onto the island? These raptors are smart, so what would be the point in swimming thousands of feet just to get some food? Debunked. So, in conclusion, the dinosaur that killed these guys needs to be one that we never meet. So that means that the entire thing is a plot hole, just like the rest of this movie. Then the guy and his son pull the parachute and they drift off into the island. Then we cut to Alan Grant, the only thing from the old script they kept. He's playing with dinosaur toys with a kid who we suspect is his son. But he keeps calling his daddy the dinosaur man. I wonder why that is. And then Ellie, the girl Alan had a crush on in the first movie, comes out of the house. And then this other guy comes, and he kisses Ellie. And then you find out why Alan is just the dinosaur man. Oh. What? Ellie didn't marry Alan? Why not? For the two people on this planet who have not seen the end of the first film, or who have not heard about the end of the first film, allow me to spoil it for you, 'cause you've had 20 years or so to see it, so too bad. So, in the movie, Ellie and Alan are paleontologists, but they're also in a kind of romantic relationship. Then these two kids, the grandchildren of the guy who runs the park, John Hammond, end up getting stuck with Alan when the bad stuff goes down. But it turns out that Alan doesn't really like kids all that much. And by the end, he's developed a father-like connection with the children, making him and Ellie's future seem more promising. But then, out of nowhere, Ellie marries some lawyer guy named Mark Delga. He's just some boring guy who only appears in the beginning of the film. And we never see him again. At least we don't see the guy who ruined an inevitable future ever again. That's good, right? Right? Then Alan goes to some press meeting about his adventures on the island from many years back, and he says that there is not enough money in the world to get him back to any of those islands. Too bad the Kirbys are more convincing than he realizes. Mistake number 3. Getting to the island. So, we've already discussed how this movie ruined everything about the franchise in the first 10 minutes or so. So how about we add injury to insult and find out the dumb way Alan ends up on the island again. Wait a minute. Didn't he say that no money in the world would ever get him back on that island? So what does this mean? Is that it? Is the movie over? Can I leave? Because I didn't like it all too much. So Alan is still working at a dig site, and he hired this idiot kid named Billy. Billy is like this guy who he he does stuff, I guess. He has the personality of a cardboard box. You can only describe him as a guy who's loyal and brave, and he also puts people in mortal danger for his own selfish needs, but we'll get to that. He's also good with 3D printers, since he made a 3D replica of the larynx of a raptor or something. I guess it's the thing that give the Raptors their signature call. So I guess now that they get the idea that the Raptors were smarter than previously thought. Did little Timmy from the first movie just say nothing about the Raptors being able to open doors? Wait a minute, when the girl was playing on the computer in the first movie, the Raptor had managed to open the door. The human characters were trying to lock it because the Raptor could turn the doorknob? I am so confused. I should probably find my contact lenses. At the dig site, Alan and Billy are approached by a couple called the Kirbys, and they're offered some dinner. So at the dinner, the Kirbys say that they have some pilots who blow up planes for a living that are willing to fly over Isla Sorna for an aerial tour of the island. They even offer him a good sum of cash on a check whose balance we never see. And after this offer of what we can assume is a lot of cash, Alan agrees. Now, this just shows how he keeps on contradicting himself about everything he does. He said barely 10 minutes ago in the film that he would never go back to the island, and that there's not enough money in the world to convince him to go. Well, apparently, he's a filthy liar. That's probably why Ellie didn't marry him, 'cause he was cheating on her and lying. He loves Mar- Mistake number 4, Spinosaurus. And now we come to the biggest and longest to explain mistake in this film, for now. The introduction of the stupid toucan on the cover. The Spinosaurus was an attempt to create a bigger and badder dinosaur for the little kiddies to enjoy. They wanted something that could tow up the T-Rex. They even killed the T-Rex, which made all the little kiddies cry. Stupid Johnston. So we have the plane that's being piloted by 3 dudes who spend all their time blowing stuff up. Their names are Nash, Koopa, and Udesky. I think the only reason that Michael Gito was put into the role of Udesky was so that the little kids who were obsessed with dinosaurs would call him Mr. Noodle from Elmo. This is made even more plausible by the fact that the first trailer for the movie was released alongside Pokemon the Movie 2000, back when Pokemon movies were only shown in theaters and only kids under the age of 19 played it. But I'm getting off topic. What was this review about? Alright, Spino. So on the flight into the island, Alan drifts off because he's bored with all this flying around. And when he wakes up, everyone is gone, and he turns, and there's a raptor next to him. It says his name in Billy's voice, and then Alan wakes up and realizes Billy was just waking him up to see the dinosaurs. Now I want to punch Joe Johnston in the face for approving this pointless scene. It seemed that he just wanted to show off the new designs of the raptors early, which doesn't make any sense. Come to think of it, the Raptor redesign doesn't make any sense. But this isn't about the Raptors right now. So they look out the window and say, "Oh my god, pretty dinosaurs," but then Alan goes into panic mode when he finds out the Kirby's plan on land the island. I should really cut down on the amount of brandy I drink before making these reviews. He says this ain't what I signed up for, and then one of the pilots knocks him out. I can't even believe that Alan fell for this obvious trap, and all for money he said himself he would never take. Who would want to fly over Isla Sorna without doing their research first? 'Cause according to Wikipedia, there are invisible pterosaurs there. So they land, and the girl Kirby, Amanda, takes a big bullhorn and begins calling for Eric. Eric. Yeah, we don't know who Eric is, but from the obviousness of this movie, the audience will probably think it's either the boy or the guy from the intro. Alan wakes up to Amanda screeching out of a bullhorn and tells her to shut up. Who knows how many carnivores will be attracted to that ear-bleeding screech? Oh yeah, and the pilots went into the forest to investigate or something. Why would you let your only way off this island go into the forest to investigate? And don't tell me it's because they have guns. Guns never work. It's the law of monster movies. So Amanda's screeching for this Eric person, and it's met with a loud roar from the forest. Then 2 of the pilots run out and tell everyone to get into the plane. And then Alan says the dumbest line in the movie. It sounds bigger. By meaning it sounds bigger than a T-Rex. How do you know it sounds bigger? So what if it has a loud roar? It doesn't mean it's bigger. My dog has a loud bark and it's only a chihuahua. Or it might be because of the echo, since I live underground. Anyways, everyone piles into the plane, and uh-oh, looks like they left Cooper behind. Cooper waves his arm in front of the plane for it to stop, but then a big monster comes and eats him. Yeah, it's the Spinosaurus. Seriously, was that the best way to introduce it that they could come up with? In the original Jurassic Park, they introduced the T-Rex perfectly. We caught some glimpses of its head, of its arms, and when its head butted its way through the fence, it looked like an epic monster with a roar that described the entire awesomeness of the rest of the movie. But here, it runs in front of a plane and they crash into a tree. If creativity could sell... Oh, oh wait, it does. Oh, oh, wait, it's just a rock.